off the shelf. The game is MBT by Avalon Hill. This is the original. So from the MBT game card, we are going to look at the sequence of play with all options. We're going to jump right into the fire phase. There's an artillery step. Obviously we're not using that here at all. Close assault step, not using that at all. This is OR, optional rules, AG, advanced game, not using those at all. But yes, direct fire step. We have BG for basic game. That's what we're playing here. And Overwatch fire step. But we don't have any Overwatch yet, but we'll get to that. So we're doing the direct fire step here, considered to be simultaneous. Announce and resolve all direct fire by ground units with fire or fire move orders. Mark firing units with spotted fired markers. So that is what we are doing. We're going to get some basic game direct fire in here. So again, off the map, I've got my Soviet first player marker on the turn record track. So that means the Soviet T-64 here is going to, even though fire is simultaneous, I'm going to resolve his fire first. So I think he flips over his marker, his order marker, and it shows, again, the red dot means it's a fire order, and the F, which corresponds to the alignment of the vehicle itself, means that the T-64 has a fire order. Okay, so let's do the firing. I don't think there's anything more. I won't talk now about stuff like firing arcs, although I will say I like actually that MBT uses a fairly narrow firing arc. Basically, it's the one hex to the front, and then traveling out along the two hex sides with every partial hex as well. So that would be this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and the same on the side. So really, the firing arc is about like that. I like that. Anyways, not going to go into details about that. Announcing fire. We'll get right into the basic game firing procedure. So first we want to find the AP factor, armor penetration factor. Okay, so we're going to dive into a bunch of table lookups here, but let's just get our basic bearings. Are these two tanks are 5 hexes away from each other. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, vice versa. They are both facing each other head on. So they're facing, their fronts are towards each other. And it's clear terrain between them. I guess those are the basics. Now we'll get into the, let's find the AP factor. So we want the AP factor for the Soviet T-64. Alright, so here's the card for the T-64 Bravo main battle tank. And the very first thing is we're going to find the firing information section of the card. That's that center section. All that stuff's the firing information section. And we're going to look for the weapon being fired on the far left column here, weapon. As we go down here, we've got a 125 millimeter stab 3 main gun and a songster and an HMG. But basically for the basic game, for the basic game, we are only looking at main gun fire and ATGM fire. And right now I'm going to have tank against, these tanks fire at each other straight down the middle, so they're each going to use their main gun against the other. So I'm going to find weapon, the main gun, then the ammunition. So we've got the main gun, 125 millimeter main gun. We're going to come across here to type ammo fired. We've got APFSDS, underneath in parentheses KE, heat in parentheses CE, and GP. So first of all, for the basic game, we're only playing with KE and CE. Make it simple. The T-64 is gonna fire the first ammo type, the APFSDS. So there we go. Now that's our ammo type. Let's see. Okay, the range we said was 5 hexes. So we're going to go across. First, we're looking for the AP factor. That's AP right there, the top of those 2 lines. We've got an AP row and a PY row. So we're looking for the AP, armor penetration. We're going to come across to the range in hexes. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's where we are right there. 5, 6, 7, 8 is the AP factor is 18. So that is our AP factor, our starting AP factor. Okay. Then we're going to go to basic game AP point effect modifiers. So now we're going to go to switch over to the again to the game card. Okay, open it up, and up at the top center here we've got our AP point effect modifiers. And we're going to look at terrain modifiers. Now we have building, rough, scrub, woods. None of these apply because each of the as each tank fires at the other, they are each in clear terrain. There is no terrain modifier. Movement modifiers, we're going to look here. The firing unit, the T-64 is non-moving. The M1A1, the target unit, is non-moving for, as you might guess, a net 0. No change there. Here we're going to go right down the list. Acquisition per turn, target vehicle. Well, actually, let's talk about target vehicle size, because that's going to make a difference in this little battle. But first, we're going to look at the target. So now we're looking at the M1A1 Abrams MBT card. And way down here, so we have target information at the bottom part there. And way down here, we've got size. So for the M1A1, size modifier is a 0 right there. 0. So no change for the M1A1. We've got smoke, and we've got all these different modifiers. None of them apply in this case. And finally, we have Overwatch modifiers. For the basic game, we have Overwatch modifiers. So it should be 4. It should be terrain, movement, general, and Overwatch. Okay, but in this case, for the T-64 firing at the Abrams, we have a net modifier of 0. So now we want to find the 2 hit number. So finding the AP point effect hit number. So now we're going to come over here to this table, is AP point effect hit chart. Along the top, we have going down 20 to 1 is the AP factor. Again, the AP factor we found before was 18. So we're looking at the 18 column there. We cross-referenced that with the net modifier. We already determined that the net modifier was 0. So we're going to come down here to the 0 row. And right there, so it's 84. 84 is what we get cross-indexing the AP factor of 18 with the net modifier of 0. So now the T-64 is going to fire, and there we go, 44. So 84 or less is going to, 84 or less is going to be a hit. And so they got 44, and that is a hit. Okay. And now we do need to do this number of shots fired. So we're going to go back to our T-64 Bravo, and they just fired their main gun. Max rate of fire is 1. So for 1 shot fired, the rules say if only 1 shot was fired, roll both dice. That's my roll there. If the number rolled is equal or less than the hit number, 1 hit has been made. 1 hit has been made. If it exceeds, then it misses. So we know we have 1 hit, but we know we have 1 hit because of the max rate of fire of the T-64's main gun. Okay. Now we have to do the hit location of that 1 hit. That's why I specified that it's front to front. So T-64 is hitting the Abrams in the front. The Abrams is going to hit the T-64. I'm sorry. The Abrams is going to target the T-64 in the front. Okay. Here we're going to go to the the target. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, line target unit. Okay, so the target unit is the Abrams. Down here in target information, we're going to come down here. The angle of hit is the front. And now we have a range of numbers here. So we're going to roll again. Hopefully we don't get any crazy result. There we go, 51. The T-64 rolls a 51 again. So I'm looking here. TF is turret front. HF is, as a matter of fact, I'm going to look this up, but 39 to 55 is the range that we just got with our roll. So the result, you go to the top, is HF. That's where this handy, my second copy of this information card comes in handy. The data card format with all that information, it's right down here. Vehicle, target information, and it gives you the hit location abbreviations. So we had an HF, which is hull front, as you might guess. So it is hull front. So we know that the T-64 hit the Abrams in the hull front. Now we're going to determine the penetration, determine the armor penetration. So we're going to go to the target unit, so back to the Abrams. Down here in the armor chart, the ammo used against the Abrams was KE from the T-64. The elevation, they're both level. They're firing at each other level, i.e. the target is not higher or lower than the firing unit. That's rising and falling. So we use the level row, and we're coming across to hull front. It's right there. Yeah. Hull front is 90. So that means basically 90 factors of armor for the Abrams. So now we want to compare that to the penetration value of the T-64. So I'm going off of memory now. Now we're going to go back up to the armor, the firing information for the T-64. We're going to go back to the APF-SDS or KE ammo. Now we're looking at the PY or penetration factor for that type of ammunition at that range. Ooh, and it just misses. If it had been 1 hex closer, it would have penetrated. But in fact, it did not penetrate. That was very close though. So if I can get this on the screen here, so 88 penetration factor for the T-64 APF-DS round is less than the 90 armor, which is the front hull of the Abrams. So if the penetration factor was found on the firing unit's data card to be equal or exceeds the armor basis found on the target unit's data card, a penetration has been made. If not, no penetration has been made. The shot does no damage and no further steps are taken for the hit. Basically, we don't determine any effects from here on because there was no penetration of the target. Firing is simultaneous, but I will go ahead and mark. So now I'm going to mark the T-64 as spot or spotted because it fired. Right there, spot fired. I'm putting fired to align with the front of the vehicle, and I can put it on or next to. I'm just going to put it behind the T-64 like that. Spotted, fired. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the Abrams return shot and come back with what happened. And obviously it's the exact same procedure, but Abrams is probably going to have a much easier time penetrating the T-64 unless there's, a wild, unusual case. So I will go through any differences. So now when the Abrams fires back at the T-64, size matters. So the Abrams had the size modifier of 0. Now the Abrams is firing back at the T64, which has a lower profile, so it has a size -1. So the Abrams AP factor was also 18 at that range, same type of ammunition, but I'm going to subtract. I'm not going to subtract. I almost made that mistake before. I'm going to the 18 column, just like the 64, but I'm coming down to the -1 net modifier row. So it's 80 right there. And we had one of those outliers, rolled a 93, so they missed, missed entirely. We still mark, I would have flipped over the order marker, and now I'm going to mark it as fired spotted.